Hello, Mixtresses and Mixters. This is Mixtress Ray. You're watching Mixtress video. Today we're going to do a pick-a-pile based on Pisces season, essentially. So you can choose based on the deck or the card. These are all like kind of moon-based decks, which I didn't mean to do at first, and then once I picked both Moon Power and Ethereal Visions Luna, and then I realized, oh, okay, this is a moon theme. So, you can pick Pile 1, 8 of Cups and Tarot of the Sweet Twilight. Pile 2, 9 of Cups and Moon Power Tarot. Pile 3, 10 of Cups and Ethereal Visions Luna edition, who's kind of, I don't know if I'm keeping her, but we'll see. We'll see how she reads today. That will be not the deciding factor, but that will be a point for or against her. Okay, I'm going to light the candle. All right, if you need more time to decide, you know the drill. Pause. Pile 1, 8 of Cups. So I am going to keep your 8 of Cups here as I shuffle the other decks. So I haven't pre-chosen any cards, so there's going to be a lot of shuffling in this video. So enjoy the process, or fast forward if you don't want to enjoy the process. Okay. First I want to determine, okay, yeah, this deck is not in order. Okay, I wasn't sure if I had used it this year or not. I think I did briefly use this deck this year. So, I don't know, we'll see if your reading ends up being kind of themed around walking away from something. Is there something to walk away from? So one of the things that I've recently learned about the 8 of Cups is, so this person's is departing. But the idea could be that this person is going to find this final 9th cup. And that's how they get to the 9. I just think that's cool. That's a cool idea. So if you are going to find your 9th cup, that's kind of going to be the direction that I'm going to try to go in with this reading. We'll see if it works. I feel like your tarot doesn't want to come yet, so let's pick your oracle cards first. I am using Julie's JBG Oracle. I tried to go with a little bit kind of Piscean energy with the decks that I picked, so I do think that JBG artwork could be very Piscean. So what is our sort of theme? Depravity. Interesting. Depravity. Okay. So what are you doing right now in your life that feels like depravity? I'm getting the strong sense that you might not necessarily be doing something that is literally depraved, but it might feel that way. Luckily, I did choose to bring out a Minty Oracle because I think this is going to speak to, this is sort of the ethical, moral guidance deck in my collection. So let's see. What is the sort of ethical issue that we might be talking about with this depravity card? The sort of like moral imperative. What's the moral imperative in your life right now? Pile 1. I think it's this one. I honor animals with reverence. Interesting. So, where are you not respecting animals in your life? I mean, that sounds so specific. Is there a pet in your life that you could be doing more right by? Like, okay, one thing that I have learned having pets my whole life, it is important to realize when an animal just doesn't work in your situation. Like, I don't like the idea of abandoning animals. Like, if you're going to adopt an animal, be ready to take care of that animal for however many years they're alive. However, if you do adopt an animal and they're like, and it's just not working out, do right by their lives. If taking care of them is passing them on to someone else that will take better care of them, that is okay. 2. Or if you're thinking about like cutting back on meat, this could be a thing. Or this could be just a call to pay more attention to the animal energy around you in your life as well. And I also brought out an animal deck. So let's see, this will give us a little bit more insight into the animal energy that we're dealing with here. Or I'm trying to think of like many different scenarios where I was once friends with someone, well, this person was a roommate of someone I was dating, so we weren't really friends. He was an acquaintance. He worked at a, like, big chain pet store. And he was constantly like bringing home new pets. And it was a bad situation because he would get fascinated by a particular species of animal and he would adopt them. And he would learn what it takes to take care of them. And he would be super into them for like a couple months or something. And then he would stop caring about them and caring for them when he was bored with them. It was an awful situation. That's how I got my first ferret, because I was rescuing the ferret from him. So if there's also, I'm trying to think, if there's a scenario in your life where you see someone else mistreating an animal, if there's a way that you can step in and adopt that animal, or if you're looking for like permission to ask that person, can I adopt your cat? I love your cat. Can I adopt them? You don't have to tell them that you think that they are not giving that cat the best life that they could have. You don't have to get involved in all that if you don't want to. You don't owe them an explanation. My mom, I'm thinking of all kinds of different scenarios right now, so I'm just going to put them all out there. My mom, in the last 5 years or so, she had a situation where she was visiting my sister for health reasons. She was taking care of my sister. And my sister's mother-in-law had a dog that, she wasn't mistreating the dog or anything like that, but she was a bit neglectful. Like, there definitely wasn't a lot of love there between her and this dog, but my mom fell in love with this dog. And so she ended up adopting the dog. She came home and she just missed this dog so much that she drove all the way back to get the dog, which is like a 10-hour trip or something. She drove all the way back out there to adopt this dog from my sister's mother-in-law. And now this dog has the best possible life that it could ever have, you know? So I'm thinking of these different scenarios just because they might. There was a time that we had a litter of puppies. Excuse me. Need to get a drink. We had a litter of puppies, and we were trying to adopt them out. And we did adopt one of the puppies out, and we were just kind of checking up on the situation afterwards. And the person that had adopted this puppy had chained them up in the yard with a gigantic chain on a very short, a short leash, short chain on a post in the backyard, and they were left there. Like, sorry, I'm telling these like sad animal stories. They all have happy endings. They all have happy endings. And so we actually ended up abducting this puppy back from these people. And then the puppy got adopted out to my boyfriend at the time. And he had a very long, happy, fulfilled, spoiled puppy life. And it was because we were overly involved. We broke the fucking law, and we did what was right by that dog. So nobody in our family regrets that scenario at all. So I'm seeing something like that for you. Like, maybe there is an animal that you're distracted with how they're being treated right now. Do what you gotta do. Be safe. I'm not advocating that you do anything illegal necessarily, but use your judgment. Use your judgment. Okay, let's see what your other cards are. The war has reached a critical point between Atlantis and Mu. So I am going to, because a lot of the cards in this is Morgan's Tarot, which is actually an oracle. A lot of the cards in this deck seem kind of nonsensical when you just look at them. So I'm going to read what it has to say in the guidebook. If the world can be thought of as a yin-yang symbol, then the west might be thought of as the yang portion, symbolized by Atlantis, and the east, yin, symbolized by Mu, or Mu. The peaceful interaction of these forces results in a harmonious whole. On all levels, the universe as a whole is a perfect whatever it is. I like that. On all levels, the universe as a whole is a perfect whatever it is. The interaction of passive and active principles might be felt as conflict at times and love at other times. So everything is unfolding as it should, is what I get from that. As long as we are balancing our own inner yin and yang, however we view that energy. And our animal spirit is shark. Be honest and direct. So if we are actually dealing with a situation where depravity is such a difficult word. I'm viewing it as sort of like you are seeing someone mistreat an animal right now. That seems so specific. But this is calling for you to be honest and direct with that person. And that's kind of what happened with me and this roommate of my boyfriend's at the time. This was back in like 2001. I saw him going through the process that he goes through with this ferret. He was starting to lose interest in the ferret and starting to neglect him. And I saw it happening, and I loved this ferret so much. I would go over there, not necessarily to visit my boyfriend who was an asshole. I would go over just to visit this ferret. And I straight up, because I did not have a filter at all at the time. I am autistic, and I have had to learn to have a filter. I have had to learn tact. I didn't have it at the time, and I basically said to him, you're going to starve this ferret to death because you're not interested in him anymore. I think you should give him to me. And because this guy was an opportunistic asshole, he charged me for the ferret. It wasn't like super expensive. I don't even remember what it was. But he sold the ferret to me. And I gave that ferret a better life. This could also be surrounding, like, if you have guilt over the way that you treated an animal in the past, which is also a scenario that I've dealt with. Before I knew how to properly care for pets, you know, there has been neglect from me. I mean, not neglect in the sense that they were always fed, they always had food and water, and I always, like, cleaned up after them, but sometimes more than that. Like getting enough play, getting enough interaction. Sometimes more than that, I was not the best pet parent that I could have been, and I have regret about that. If that's something that's a scenario for you, then know that it's okay. Because you have enough reflection to call upon this and enough reflection to know that you were not the best possible pet parent you could have been. Just learn from that. It could be that you don't actually need to have pets. Not everyone needs to have pets. Not everyone is cut out to be the caretaker of animals. And if you're not, your way of honoring animals with reverence is to choose not to adopt them. So whatever way, this could be that you are going to be the savior of an animal by taking them into your care, or you could be the savior of an animal by letting them go to someone else because it's not a right situation for you in your house. Anyway, this is a lot of babbling about animal adoption before I've even flipped over any of the cards. 3 of Pentacles, 9 of Pentacles, 10 of Pentacles, Ace of Swords, Ace of Cups, 8 of Pentacles. So we have 8, 9, and 10 of Pentacles. And the Lovers. One, two, three, four Pentacles cards, 2 air, and 1 water. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be, because I'm kind of stuck on this whole animal adoption thing, I'm going to just keep going with that. So if that doesn't apply to you, then this pile probably isn't for you, since this is very specific. I'd rather be too specific and really hit home with like 3 people than be so generic that I don't hit home with anyone, you know what I mean? There is a perfect scenario where, like, everyone works in harmony. Everyone works together in harmony for the care of this animal. And it means that somebody is without this animal, whether that be you adopting from someone else to save this animal's life, or you deciding to give up an animal that you're not giving the best care to. And I've had both situations in my own life. Like, this is no judgment. One of the things I feel most guilty about, I'm just going to tell a lot of fucking animal stories here. One of the things in my life that I feel the most guilty about is I did have to one time take a cat to the Humane Society. This was a cat that chose me. They were hanging out on my porch, and they were feral, but we had sort of domesticated her, and we're feeding her, but she was very small and she was not cut out for the streets. So we brought her inside, and she did not get along with my other cat, with our indoor cat. She didn't get along with the indoor cat, and there were some problems. So I did, and I regret it, because now I know there's a person in my life that would have adopted this cat, that would have fostered this cat and adopted her out and given her the best possible home. But at the time, I didn't have the resources, and I took her to the Humane Society. This is a no-kill Humane Society, at least. But I don't know what ultimately happened with this cat. And I feel bad because she was so sweet, and I would love to know if she's happy now. But I just knew that our situation wasn't right for her. And I have a few stories of pet regret, but I have more stories of pet happiness, you know? So if you're looking at, okay, the word depravity is it's bothering me, just because it's, the scenarios I'm describing are not depraved, but one thing that could be, like, this is not the way you normally define the word depravity, but if you are in a situation where, like, you have too many pets, or you're on the verge of, like, maybe adopting a too many pet situation, know your limits. Know your limits. Like, for me, like, I only have so much love to give. So the fact that our limit in our household is 3. And your limit might be 1, or it might be none, you know? And that's okay too. Whatever you're going to have an epiphany surrounding this situation. And it's going to be about presenting love in the best possible way. Whether this be you are being handed, like in the situation of me adopting that ferret, it's like the ferret is being offered to me, and I take it and love it for the rest of its life. His name was Bo, by the way. And his asshole original dad named him Bo because ferrets are kind of stinky. So B-O, body odor. That's why he named him Bo. But I changed it to Bo as in B-E-A-U. And he was my little Bo-alicious, and I loved him. If there's someone in your life that loves an animal in your care the way that I loved that ferret, let go of your pride and acknowledge that you might not be the best caretaker. Because there is a scenario where the family is in alignment. You know, the 3 of Pentacles and the 10 of Pentacles. Like, the family is in alignment. There is a scenario where that works out. And if it's not with you, just acknowledge that. That's okay. It doesn't have to be with you, but it might be. You know, it could be either scenario, of course. And if you are the one choosing to adopt, it is going to be hard work, but it's going to be a soulmate partnership, you know? So and I also, like, I have so many stories. My mom has a friend who right now is dealing with a situation where she feels that one of her neighbors is not properly caring for her dog. It's not a bad situation, but this particular friend of my mom's is like really, really obsessed with caring for dogs in the best possible way. Like, she's a little too obsessed. What does that have to do with anything? Why did I even bring that up? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'll come back to that. Just another scenario that you might be in. Like, maybe ask yourself, are you obsessed with this situation? Or do you think that this animal really needs better care? If you're in a scenario where you think that you could provide better care, that person or that animal might be an actual soulmate to you. And like, don't do it unless you feel like that's the case, you know? Like, for me, the care of an animal is a big deal because I don't have children. I chose to be an animal caretaker instead. And it's a big deal. Caring for animals is a big deal. So I have to feel like that animal is going to be a part of my life forever. I have to feel very aligned with that animal. I have to really care. It's not going to be worth it to me to adopt an animal that, like, because I had a dog for a long time that she was an asshole. I've never met an animal that was an asshole in the way that this dog was. It was not a great fit, but we did care for her. We gave her a full life. But I'm not going to enter into that type of situation again. I learned from that situation that, like, if I'm getting the vibe that I got from that dog out of another dog, it's not to say that she's evil, but that is not going to be in alignment with me, you know? Adopt responsibly. That's the vibe that I'm getting with this reading. Oh my God, so weird. So weird that I just babbled about animal adoption for 27 minutes. Cool. All right, pile 2, 9 of Cups. Kind of want to put him like way over here for some reason, so we'll see if he stays there. Moon Power Tarot. For some reason, almost every tarot deck I've ever had that has moon in the title, I either don't use very much or I end up getting rid of. This one, really, if it hadn't been a gift from my mom, I probably wouldn't have kept it. And this is not to, like, talk badly about the deck that you chose for your pile. But it's just, stupid little personal aside. Maybe okay, I did this last time. I'm gonna pick your oracle cards first. Let's start with Morgan's Tarot. If you're wondering how I can shuffle this thick-ass fucking US Games cardstock, I went through with this deck. It had been suggested to me by a friend so you go through, if you have a deck that's too thick and stiff to shuffle, you go through card by card. You have to be willing to, like, warp the cards. The cards are going to be warped and they're going to look pretty disheveled afterwards, but if you're willing to do that, you just kind of like rub the card on the edge of the table back and forth to kind of like break up the stiffness, and it actually worked. This is an 80-something card deck that is fully like 1.75 inches thick. And I am able to riffle shuffle it now. I wouldn't recommend doing this on all the decks, but if you're willing to, like, it's not going to fit in a box again after you do this because it makes the deck even thicker. But anyway, it makes it more flexible at least. Just had to share that. Okay. Let's look at these as we go. The Virgin Sun Queen. And I will read the guidebook on that here in a minute. And then Amenti Oracle is going to be your sort of moral imperative. The moral imperative. It's a moral imperative. Points if you know what I'm referencing there. And then we're going to use Julie's JBG Oracle. And you got Duty. And I relate in peace. So I'm getting like sort of a divine birthright sort of feeling here. In order for you to be this self-satisfied dude right here in the Nine of Cups, you do have to find a you have a divine duty. You have a service to provide. That sounds weird, but and it's almost like in service of a higher purpose. And continuing on, if you watched pile 1, I babbled about like fucking animal stewardship, caretaking of animals. And it's interesting to see that we have this duty card with someone that's surrounded by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cats and a wolf. So you could be, your duty in life could be to take care of animals. And I relate in peace. Like, if you did choose pile 1 and you are still watching for pile 2 and that animal shit is resonating with you, your solution might even be to start an animal shelter because you're seeing injustice in the world. And maybe your way to relate in peace is to actually find a way to take care of all those animals. Which is ambitious and fucking cool if you do decide to do that. But I couldn't do something like that, so don't feel bad if you couldn't either. And then your animal is Moth. Whimsical and impulsive. So it's not all duty and honor and like responsibility. If you feel like you're kind of burdened by responsibility in your life, I'm also sort of seeing this card as, you know what, I'm done. This, in order for me to relate in peace, you have to say no to some shit. Not everything is going to be for you. Not everything is your responsibility. want to bring out my little alien head. He feels very Piscean. Sorry, I keep shuffling off screen. I like watching people shuffle, so I should be providing you with the same enjoyment that I enjoy seeing myself. I relate in peace, and then duty, and then justice. I'm seeing like, and we'll have to read what the Virgin Sun Queen says in the guidebook too here in a minute, but I am getting a sense that it's, I mean, this reading is for multiple people, of course. There are some people that like, you got too much responsibility in your life and you need to back off with some of it. And then there are some people that like, you don't have enough responsibility and it's time to take more responsibility in your life. So only you can say which of those people you are. And it is a balance. So it's time to balance your responsibility with your more whimsical nature. So if you're not indulging in your whimsical nature enough, it's time to start doing so more. And if you're not indulging in your more responsible indulging, that's kind of the wrong way to put it, but if you're not sucking it up and being responsible and getting the paperwork of life done, yeah, that shit sucks, but you do need to do it. In order to more fully engage your whimsical side, you need to get the paperwork done, you know? Like if we are dealing with a scenario where you're about to start like an animal shelter or something, you're going to need to do a lot of paperwork to get that aligned, right? Okay, what else do you have? You have temperance. Yeah, it's a balancing of those two things. In order to relate in peace in this life and indulge your more whimsical side, your more Nine of Cups side of getting, in order to get everything you want in life, there is some paperwork, but don't neglect that whimsical side of yourself either. Ten of Swords. Ten of Pentacles. Six of Pentacles. Nope, Seven of Pentacles, sorry. And Ace of Pentacles. Again, pentacle heavy, just like the last pile was. You are just fucking done with something. Again, I'm seeing this I relate in peace card kind of weirdly right now, which is just sort of a, dude, no more. In order for me to keep my peace with you, you gotta get the fuck out my face right now. I'm getting that. I'm getting the fact that you are just done. Like you've been trying to help someone. Maybe that's what this duty card is about. It's like you've been trying to help someone for a while now and they are just not accepting help. And in order for you to not get the cops called on you because you're keying their car because you're so fucking done with their shit, you gotta step back so that you can relate in peace. This could even be a situation like in order to balance yourself, you need to get away from someone. Reassess. I mean, justice can sometimes be like a divorce card. Or it could just be a moment where you're saying to someone, like, look, in order for me to not fucking take out a sword and slice your head off right now, I need you to leave me alone for 6 months. Like, get the fuck out. Get fuck out my face. Get fuck out. Fuck out. And it's going to benefit your health. Whatever it is that you need to do, whichever side you need to engage more in, whether it's, and this, I do feel like there's some drawing of boundaries here that need to happen. If you're being too laissez-faire about life, not doing the paperwork, do some fucking paperwork. Do what you got to do. If you are caught up in the paperwork and caught up in the duty and responsibility of life, find a way to indulge that whimsical side, because it's an important part of you. You can't neglect either of these sides. It's almost like this is somebody that has a sun in Pisces and a moon in Virgo, or vice versa. This is somebody that has a sun sign in an opposite sign to their moon, or an opposite sign to their ascendant. This is somebody that is being pulled apart within themselves and trying to choose one, or it's almost like you're trying to choose one over the other. You either think you should be the responsible person or you should be the whimsical person, but you don't have to choose. You can be both. There's a time for both. Let's read this Virgin Sun Queen card from the guidebook. Oh my god, I opened straight to it. This is like the longest entry in this book. So I'm just going to put this here and not actually read the whole thing out loud. But there's a part that I highlighted at some point. Those who are looking for certainty should, in most cases, not read books, but search their own soul. Out of primordial consciousness, the positive and the negative manifest the world. The earth is a mother, but she is not the goddess. The moon reflects the light of the sun, but the goddess is no mere mirror. Infinitely deep, she is indifferent to the precocious gods who play on the surface with minute shadows. You contain multitudes and a lot of contradictions. And that's okay. That's okay. You can be a contradiction. Your life's purpose is going to be about balancing these things. And once you get these things in balance, which is going to require you to sort of take a step back and assess. Once you get these things in balance, you take a step back and assess. It might even be a rock bottom moment that leads you to this rebalancing. You will be provided with an opportunity, whether that be a job, an inheritance. You'll be okay. You will be okay. But you have to indulge both the duty aspect of yourself and the whimsical aspect of yourself. You have to make peace between those opposing signs if that in fact applies to you. And I'm specifically thinking of, my Michael is Sun in Pisces, Virgo rising. And my mom is Sun in Virgo, Pisces moon. And it's just interesting. It's just interesting. Because they do get along, but it's, because I think part of the reason they get along is because they have those opposing signs in their own chart pulling against each other. So they know what that's like. And they relate in peace most of the time. But it is a constant for both of them, both my mom and my Michael. Both of them have a hard time doing responsibility and whimsy effectively. Because it's like You do the whimsical shit, and the responsible part of your brain is fighting against it. You do the responsible shit, and the whimsical part of your brain is like, no, I do what I want. You know? I'm sorry. It's got to be hard. I also have, my sun is Libra and my moon is Aries. So those are two opposite sides of the spectrum as well. So I have a little bit of that too, but not quite in the same, it's not quite the same fight, you know? Anyway, pile 3. 10 of Cups. And Ethereal Visions Luna Edition. Okay, this is kind of a, we're going to see. I don't know if I'm keeping this deck. So we're going to see. This is kind of a test. It has gotten easier to shuffle. At first, when I first got it, it was warping terribly. So if you saw that video where I was reviewing it and I was showing how warped it was, see how it's not warped now? It's interesting. Like, it was severely warped at first. So much so that it was hard to shuffle. But now, it's a bit better. It's a bit better. Okay, so these cards are definitely here. But I do want to get your oracle cards first. So what is the moral imperative? Let's start with that. A Minty Oracle, moral imperative. I kind of feel like opening my window. I have my heater on in here, but I'm starting to sweat, so I think that's not the right thing. So sorry, that just changed the ambient sound in the background. Turning my heater off, but I think I am. We're just gonna open this window. And if it gets too loud or cold in this room, I will shut it. Pile 3, what is your moral imperative? What is the guiding force? I invoke laughter. So it's time for you to have some fucking fun. That's what it's time for. Make other people laugh and make yourself laugh. And seek out, like, things that make you laugh. Funny movies, comedy specials you enjoy. Like, seek out laughter. Some of these, a lot of these Morgan's Tarot cards are very, I'm always using the word whimsical. I like use the word whimsical too much, but they're very whimsical. They're very nonsensical. They can make you laugh, for sure. So we have, what are you feeling now? And then we have this sort of like infinity mirrors effect of like the cards just going and going and going, which tells me like this is something you have to ask yourself constantly, which is annoying. Like, what am I feeling now? How about now? How about now? How does that make me feel? How does that make me feel? It's a question that you have to learn to constantly ask, or me, I've had to learn to constantly ask myself that question, because at first, like the first time I ever went to therapy and that whole thing, well, how do you feel about that? Well, how do you feel about that? Well, how does that make you feel? That was really hard for me to, like, I was like, I don't know how I feel. And it made me realize, oh, I really don't know how I feel. And it actually was a practice for me to figure out how I feel. I was not in touch with that reality, and I needed to be. So hopefully I'm bringing that up for a reason that resonates with you. Because that's how I see that card right now. Okay, it's already just like a little too cold. Turning the heater off was good, but opening the window was a little too far. So we're closing the window. Okay. Who is your animal spirit? Hopefully somebody that can help you invoke laughter in your life. There we go. You got snake, Shakti, time is now. The time is now, energy. So it's time to use, I feel like you have extra energy right now, and it's time to use that extra energy to, not necessarily to get shit done, but to do something fun. It's almost like, for you, it's not about like hunkering down to get something done necessarily, but it's more about just having a good time. And being that you did choose a 10 of Cups, maybe this could also be in relation to like planning a trip. Plan a trip with your family. Get out there and get something done that is fun. This is not about like, it's not serious. It's committing to not be serious for once. Eclipse. So this could be, how does eclipse come in? I'm almost wanting you to eclipse the serious with laughter. To allow yourself to have some fucking fun. You know, because like this person is, they're making jokes, they're being the jester, they're having a good Harley Quinn time, but we also have like these vultures here. So this is in the midst of something sad. There's a time for laughter, and there's a time for asking yourself how you really feel. And you might even feel like you're faking it. Like if you're that person that's sort of like the jokester, prankster person in your family. If you feel like you're doing that to such an extent that you really are covering up your feelings, then maybe dial that back. This does seem to be like another balancing moment, kind of like the last pile was. But also it's okay. Again, it's okay to do both of those things. It's okay to be like a person that laughs in the face of grief. It's okay to do that. Don't let people tell you that you're grieving wrong. That you're being sad wrong. Don't ever let people tell you that you're being sad wrong. That you're doing it wrong. As long as you're not hurting anyone else, you're not doing it wrong. And that's pretty much one of my main life philosophies. We have Knight of Pentacles, Page of Pentacles reversed, Five of Pentacles, Four of Swords, Two of Cups, and the Fool. So the end of your path is the beginning. Take it slow. You're not really ready for the next step yet. Wait until the eclipse is done. You're not ready to look. It's like your time of like, But this is about the time is now. The time is now, but it's not now. It's time to laugh, but there's also a lot of pain. I think you're going through a lot of mood swings right now. One of the things that I think about this card, the sort of like energy and time is now. Like the time is now when you have the energy. So I think this is sort of like, and this in conjunction with this, what are you feeling now? Is like, when you have the energy, get it done. Get it done when you have the energy. Take full advantage of those moments, but acknowledge that you are going to be going slower than you would like. If this is, I do feel like this is something about healing from, this is some grief. This is some sadness. This is some depression. This is the most depressed looking page of pentacles I've ever seen. They're like contemplating this pentacle like it's, oh God, what did I take on? What is this responsibility? You know. Take the time that you need to rest in between. So you have those days of energy. When you have those days, get the shit done. When you don't have when you're not feeling it, take the day off. You are still moving forward at a steady, slow pace. When you need to laugh, allow yourself to laugh. If you're the type of person, again, like, I'm just getting this vibe of somebody that makes like really inappropriate, morbid jokes in the face of death. That's the way that you cope. And that's okay. It's okay to be that way. It's okay to be Bob Saget in the face of grief. You know, if you've ever heard Bob Saget's type of comedy. Like, it's okay to laugh. Laughing does not change the situation, but it changes how you feel about the situation. Because at the end of all of this, once the eclipse has passed, once your moods have evened out again, at the end of all of that, you're going to be this. You're going to be gleefully jumping off into the abyss, right? And that's a good thing. Let's read your What Are You Feeling Now card. You might as well feel good now. However, if you are unable, don't worry about it. Our feelings are usually related to our thoughts concerning the future, the past, or our perceptions of how others feel in relation to us. Plots for the future are valid, but awareness of the present moment clears away spiritual obstacles. All this has little to do with the Japanese wind bell sounding outside my window. So yeah, you might as well feel good. And if you can't, that's okay too. Like, don't put too much pressure on like, okay, why am I feeling like this? Is this okay? Am I allowed to feel like this right now? I'm getting the idea that like, however you're grieving is okay. We all do it differently. However you're doing it is okay as long as you're not hurting anyone else. Allow yourself to be where you are. And I do think a medicine for you is laughter. So if you've been like refusing it's almost like you're perceiving distracting yourself with funny as being the wrong way to deal with your situation. And you don't have to perceive it that way. It's okay to joke your way through it. It's okay to deflect with laughter. It's not maladaptive as long as you are still facing your feelings when you have the energy to do so. If you don't have the energy to face all the darkness, you can wait for that eclipse to pass. And you can occupy yourself in the meantime of this eclipse with laughter. It's okay to do that. I give you permission to laugh. Okay. That's it for this reading, I think. Thank you guys for being here, and I hope that you got something out of it. Okay, bye.